On a Tuesday edition of the program, Merely Bo, the Great Z. That doesn't look like a merely lasagna soup over there. It looks like that was kind of a delight. How did that do? It looked all right.
You want a bite of it?
No, I'm good. Beak's been wet. I'm good.
There's always room for tasty morsels, my friend.
How'd we do down there? Look at that. That looks really nice.
Flake steak, a nice little macaroni, a nice tomato-y broth.
Yeah.
Now, if
Well,
I
that's
was...
a very nice job.
Lavelle's killing it. Like
He's my guy. It's my guy. May have to hire him back.
Yeah, Paula, Lavelle, Holly, the chefs, everybody. It's right now the operation is running as beautifully and brilliantly as I've ever seen it. The one thing that they can't do, obviously, in this type of a bulk serving situation, but the lasagna soup, because Miss K, as we know, it makes a great lasagna soup.
I made that. Yeah, I love that lasagna soup.
It's fantastic.
The details on that was well
but
done.
It's the little mozzarella pearls.
The pearls.
Yeah, so like you got a couple pearls in there, give it a stir, and then now
we're talking.
Now we're pulling. It's almost like a French onion soup when you pull the spoon out and you got that great stuff there. Yeah, very good, very exciting, and I love that now we're Taco Tuesday, and it's Taco and Tandoori Tuesday, which interesting combos to have both the Indian food.
Never took
a little. No,
we
never had a great. You've never had the delight of a lamb rogan.
It's so funny
josh?
that this is all coming up. When we were in Laguna for spring break. The restaurant of record at the resort we were staying at was an Indian restaurant.
Oh, baby.
And of some regard.
Yeah.
And
a nice samosa.
And I'm always like, I just never really took. And so we went, and I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel me on this.
Yeah.
Wherever, because I don't know what I'm doing. So just whatever you like, just take me down. Did not take. I thought it was fine. The kids, no taste for it all, and they'll eat anything. They're not. They'll eat anything. Didn't take. Aim and I did okay, but I would not run it back. So I don't know.
It's one of the great joys, I think. Great cuisines.
I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't. And I will tell you that like the entire restaurant, I could smell the curry.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time shaking that. And
So,
I don't think all of it was in it. Curry wasn't in all of it, but the smell of it, it's like it just affected the taste.
So I find Indian food for that reason that it almost dilutes the taste buds, and you don't know what you're tasting because there's so many subtle differences in the sauces.
Yeah.
That it's best as a takeout operation.
No, you might be onto something.
Because then you're in your home, it's pure, you don't have the smell. So like I could dial up a great order. First of all, samosa is fantastic. It's basically a fried triangle pastry filled with meats and peas and potatoes and dipped in this ridiculously good sauce. You start with that, then you roll a couple of tandoori prawns, which are just prawns that are just cooked in a tandoori oven. So it's just a beautiful grilled kind of prawn.
Yeah, there was none of this in this situation.
Yeah, you need Cafe Tandoor. That's the place. That's my place of record. And then we'll get a little lamb rogan josh. So it's lamb in like a dark brown sauce that is wonderful. A chicken jalfrezi, which is a chicken dish in kind of a buttery tomato sauce. And that is just a pure delight. And then a little aloo gobi with peas, which is going to be cauliflower, potatoes, and peas, and like a yellowish mild curry, some basmati rice. Then you get a garlic naan. I mean, how would the boys not like a garlic naan? And then
that would be a hit.
And then the way you eat it, you don't eat with any utensils. Oh, no.
No. You just
rip the naan, little bit of rice on it, get your good whatever one you get, and then you bite it like that, make a little almost like taco. It's unbelievable.
This was the joint. This was it.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go ahead and click up here on the menu. Our menus, dinner and dessert. Oh, sure.
Yeah, that was
right.
the joint. Bootsy.
So this is
two of the boys went up. They were like, can't do it.
This is like elevated, very fancy. If you're going to go into this, I really think what you want to do is you want to start off. Now, this stuff looks, the Snake River Wagyu short rib had to be unbelievable. The Lumina lamb had to be great.
I had the short rib. I
Not
remember
great?
that. It was good. No, I liked it. I thought it was very nice. But it didn't.
Yeah, so this is beautiful. Like, I would love this place for sure. But it's not, if you want just like a basic introduction to like, Indian food, that's not that.
That ain't this. This is something
Because that's
else.
too fancy.
Okay,
and I'm sure the portions are probably pretty.
They were all over the map. It was a lot of like serves 2, serves 4.
Okay.
That type of stuff is
No.
what it was.
So after we do transformative turkey, you'll come over for insanely good Indian.
What are we going to do this week with this weather?
Cry.
It's so sad, man.
I have a match that must go on tomorrow. So
What do you mean must? Why
means
must? How must?
There's deadlines.
Well,
this is it.
Mother Nature is telling you to go straight to hell. Is what it's doing.
If I played in 40 degrees and pouring rain, I think I can play in 60 in rain and be just fine. Feels warmer.
Oh, we have rain in the next 50 minutes here.
Oh yeah, dude, it's over.
Oh, we had somebody ask. We had somebody
over.
ask about the AccuWeather went 3-0 in the various battles.
I think.
Oh my God, it's gotten even worse.
I think it's over until Zoggs is born,
Oh my goodness, it is over till Zoggs is
and he's
born.
coming earlier.
Little Zoggs.
He's coming earlier.
Oh, is he even?
We were told
bumped up, huh?
We were told today that it's.
Oh, Miss K had to love that news.
We were told that it's
anytime after June 2nd, please.
It will be. Well, I mean that we don't know, but
You can't control that.
We're
going to try.
Beamsy was supposed to be early
We're
November.
gonna
He
try.
was
Bo,
at
we
he was
need
at
to try.
10-7.
We need to put the power of positivity
10-7
into
of-
this.
no, we
full
got the
month
power
or-
of positivity in it. But they're going to do.
I'm off the grid for 9 days. Like
What a time to be alive.
you're going. You have.
I got things. We got a lot of things going on. Yeah.
Like
So we're 66 today, 90% chance of rain. 65 high tomorrow, 95% chance of rain.
So you're saying there's a 5% chance?
5%. Yeah. Well, this is for this part of town. 56 is a balmy 56 for the high on Thursday, which is a nice late February
That's
treat.
fantastic.
You'd really love that in late February. 84% chance of rain. Friday, high of 56, 63% chance of rain. You want to spend your Memorial Day weekend out at the lake, at the pool, barbecuing maybe? Bring a parka.
Yeah.
Highs 60, 62, 65 on Monday. Yuck. 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 This
Yeah.
is going to be
Not good.
this is a body bag situation, dude. An absolute body bag.
No, it's terrible. Really, is what it is. It's
I have
really
58 Saturday.
it's very.
It's in
sad.
the low 40s. It's Memorial Day.
I mean, what are we doing?
What have we done?
What are we doing? You know, sometimes when we're sad like this,
Yeah.
it makes me want to share good news. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
You have an
I would-
old-fashioned location picked
I would.
out?
I do actually. Matter of fact, I have multiple. I have in 3 different states. I've got that. But the good news.
Franchisees?
The good news I would like to share right now is a hearty congratulations to Bill Belichick on his engagement to his 24-year-old girlfriend Jordan Hudson.
Young love. Can't stop it.
Yes,
2 crazy kids.
it's just some crazy kids out there.
Some people
in
would
love.
say, "Hey, you're too young for that. It's too young to be tying yourself up to one at that age. 24. Can you imagine if a young Artie Buckets at age 24 came to Papa Z and said, "It's time. I'm getting married," and you're like, "Honey, I am so thrilled. You've worked so hard. Incredible college. Your career's off to a great start. Who are you marrying? 72-year-old dude who used to coach football and grunts a lot." Oh. You don't say.
It's a match made in heaven.
Can you get me one of those sweatshirts? Can I get a sweatshirt with holes in it from the Naval Academy? Get me one of those. We get our stuff from the Naval Academy
I'll take
ready to roll.
all the Carolina stuff, all that anything in that beautiful Carolina blue. That's what I'll take.
Yeah, it's a nice color.
It is a nice color.
Did
By the
you
way,
see
so
that
we're good. We're fixed here.
Oh yeah, we're fixed. Yeah, we're all
We're
set.
back, baby.
We're back. We're back.
Chad took good.
Yeah,
good
they did
care
a
of
nice
ya?
job. They did a nice job. What was I going with? Oh, did you see that she wanted ownership of NFL films? That's why it got why Hard Knocks. Why Hard Knocks Carolina football didn't take?
What is she?
That she wanted some ownership stake in it, and NFL Film said, "Yeah, we're
Man.
good. We've been around for a while, so we're good."
Man, huh?
Yeah.
I do have some stadium news. The Greater Cleveland Partnership, which is the nation's largest metropolitan chamber of commerce with over 12,000 business members, endorsed the Browns' Brook Park Dome today. Said Dave Jenkins, the COO of Haslam Sports Group.
That's right.
On Greater Cleveland Partnership endorsement of a new enclosed stadium in Brook Park and Lakefront Development. Quote, "We appreciate the comprehensive, transparent, and collaborative work with GCP leadership. We respect the questions and extensive dialogue we've had with our city's most important corporate leadership, It was apparent throughout this process that they were committed to truly putting in time, analysis, and objective thought in their ultimate determination that the enclosed stadium in Brook Park can have the most transformative impact on our region. We are firmly committed to Cleveland and believe our investment in the enclosed stadium and mixed-use development is a generational opportunity for our region and will also serve as a catalyst to reimagine and develop our lakefront.
Love it.
There we go. I love that too. It's just so interesting that, like, again, the pushback from some.
All right.
Wild to me.
So I always think, like, we have, before we ever even thought that this was in play, I'm talking like 18, 19, you and I were like, dome. Way before.
Play the
way
tapes,
before.
brother.
The tape exists. It's there.
Before you even knew me.
Yeah, probably before. When you first time you went down to the
when you're
sidelines.
like that, all I hear is
he's
guy's
a
real
crud. He's a real selfish crud.
He's a crud.
You're not going to like that guy at all.
Not even
He's the worst.
The worst. Yeah.
He's the worst guy ever.
And he wants a dome.
Actually, he's a pretty nice guy. Kind of glasses half full most of the time. Big smile on his face. Feels like he's doing all right. I like him. But we talked about this for years, and before it became possible. And what really was the thing that opened your eyes, and I was there, oddly enough, my good buddy Ritesh, which is the only other time I had Indian food. His wedding was at the Minneapolis Stadium.
Yep.
And so I went in it there, and then within a year we played there. Year or two, we played there, and you went, dude, that's it. Build that sucker. That's where it's at. And so we've been talking about this for a long time. And so we have our view of it. And obviously it is one that is going to be shared with anyone who wants to build a dome, because that's what we want to do. So this has been a thrilling thing. But I did think it was interesting because you hear all this anecdotal stuff. You mentioned something yesterday on social, that anecdotal. Well, I'm hearing this. So McNeil, I would say, is a pretty good Twitter representation of a wide swath of people. He just put a poll up. Which do you prefer? He's got 3,500 votes in 2 hours.
Okay.
Roughly 3 hours. 64%.
I was going to say 2 to 1.
2 to 1.
Yeah.
Come on. What are we doing?
We're going to have a dome. Just everybody get on board with it now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Be so excited. Remember you were talking, think about it. Bo Bishop.
That's right.
A living legend.
Living.
A hero among men.
To some.
You said, I'm not really as interested going to a game in November or December, regardless of how good the opponent is. And why? Don't want to be cold. Don't want to sit in that cold. Guess what? You know what's in a dome? Perfect weather.
Perfect conditions.
70 degrees, climate controlled, no breeze, zero temperature, as my wife likes to call it, zero temp.
That's right.
It's going to be perfect.
And it's
going to be glorious.
You want noise? Baby.
It goes up, and then it hits the roof, and the roof says, go back down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be very sweet. And we'll get there. But it's, yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, 25, 26, 27, 28, there's only 4 more seasons. If the dome goes, which I believe that it will, that's 2029 you're playing in the dome. You only have – that's not that far away.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's get it happening. We had a contract done yesterday, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, 4-year, $4.6 million contract as a 5th-round pick. So you got that deal done. He's one of this era of college athlete who comes to the NFL having already made millions.
Yep.
Not only because of his upbringing, the fact that his dad is one of the 75 best players in NFL history and on the all-time NFL team, but because he could make value off of his name, image, and likeness over his time at Colorado.
Yep.
And he was one of the guys who profited very bigly from it. He did. Obviously, Travis did, but Travis went towards the top of the draft. Quinn Ewers profited mightily off of his NIL opportunities at the University of Texas. Dylan Gabriel did as well. So it's interesting because this is kind of the first group of guys who spent the majority of their college careers being compensated.
And compensated.
So, well, oftentimes more
very
than
well.
If they're late picks, more than what they are going to make in college in the NFL. I mean, Shedeur probably made more at Colorado last year than he's going to make here as a rookie, as a 5th-round pick. For sure, Quinn Ewers made more at Texas than he's going to make with the Miami Dolphins being a 7th-round pick. So that's just where the sport is. And it's interesting because one of the things that you're kind of deprived of from that is that moment of you've got your contract. What are you going to do with it? Too late.
It's already done.
Been doing it,
been
baby.
Doing it.
I did it
Been
at
doing
19.
But also good for them, right? Because
Of course it's good for them.
they're bringing massive money into
Of
the colleges and all of that. So yeah, good for them. But it is. You're right. It's changed everything. It's changed everything.
Changed, yes. The
And I
entire
would
landscape.
say, and I know we're talking NFL, and it changed in football, but like I go back to Zion to me, and I could be wrong about this.
Okay.
There probably are examples prior to Zion because you had like LeBron, obviously, but he was right from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe was right from high school.
Yeah.
But like Zion came into the league as a complete brand already.
in a basketball world, this kid Cooper Flagg's probably the next thing since
Like
Zion.
that.
Where it
But
was
so
like,
Zion to me was the
Oh,
first
yeah.
one that felt like he was a full on. He already had his
Phenomenon.
sneaker, like a full on.
he was the NBA like
went to
once,
college.
Once every 10 years the NBA gets a kid
Yeah.
who goes to college, who balls out, who is known. Everybody knew about Zion because of the social media stuff and YouTube because his dunking in high school.
Yep.
And then he lived up to that at Duke. Same thing with Coop. Like he's been known for a long time. That's their example of what the NFL gets every year
Yep.
is
Yeah. Right.
12 of them they get 30 of them every
Yeah.
year from college football.
Did
So,
you?
yeah, I think that is fair.
Who was though like Johnny Football? So that's 14.
Yeah.
Was definitely a full on brand by the time that he came to the NFL. But I don't know like how many football players like Peyton obviously was an incredible prospect and all that was not a full brand like that.
I think Peyton Manning would have been a full brand.
If it was like now, it just was so different then.
It was, but he was so well known at that time. I would say the other guys like in the Johnny Football world were like Bake was in that world of known.
But he wasn't quite Johnny Football in terms of like
No, but Johnny was also. I mean, that's just I think because of the nickname was a big part of it.
nickname. It was also
He didn't actually win much.
it's also an older time though. Well, he beat Alabama in
one
Alabama,
time.
right?
He
one
won the
time.
Heisman because and he was unbelievable that year. But his year doesn't get in the vicinity of like Cam Newton's year, or
Totally.
certainly of Joe.
I think
Joe
he
Burrow's.
had that, and it was also somewhat of a different time when the access was still limited. I'd say to people in a sense, like
I'll tell you where I think you can go with Johnny that made him unique is he was probably the first full social media star.
that's what I mean.
That's
Like
probably
where it was
what
just
he was.
like
He was probably the first
everywhere.
guy that like
Sports
you could get
Illustrated
it.
was still around.
Yeah.
These covers, all of
Yeah,
those
that
things.
was kind of the confluence of all of those factors. So I think that time he probably.
But I was trying to think who before that, if there was any before that was like that. Like the only ones that come into my mind, like Ricky Williams, felt like he was a pretty well-formed brand.
Peyton Manning was.
Peyton
Manning started his second game at Tennessee and started for 4 years.
Yeah.
So he was as known as you could
So wild
possibly
in
be.
retrospect that it was like a debate
Oh yeah,
between him and Leaf.
Michael Vick was probably a very well-known.
Yes.
When he went number 1 overall. I mean, he played a national championship as a freshman at Virginia Tech against FSU, and then
and
so I
this
think
is
he
something-
probably had that.
Where's the G band? I was texting with young Gabriel last night.
young
What a-
Gabriel?
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Love him. I think we get to see him on Thursday.
Thursday? Nice.
Thursday and Friday.
There you go.
Maybe. Yeah. Like, did John? This is also what I mean. Like, Johnny Football had, like, I wonder if he sold more college jerseys than anybody.
No,
Not even close.
I don't know how anyone. I mean, you have to think of the size of the fan base. So like A&M doesn't. First of all, they're Adidas. It's A&M.
Yeah.
So I would bet you that number 5 Ohio State Braxton Miller jerseys would top it probably 10-1.
Yeah.
I would think that probably number 2 Ohio State jerseys with Terrell Pryor would have topped it.
Those
guys
though didn't have their. Did they have their names on it yet?
Neither did Johnny's.
Johnny's
You
didn't.
could not, no, because you couldn't do. That's what NIL
That's
was
what
all
NIL
about.
is, okay.
You could sell a number
So you had
2
the
jersey,
two.
but it couldn't have his name on it.
But he had
So,
like Nike. I remember
that was not when he was in college, though.
the Nike T-shirts that said like Johnny Football and all that. That
after
was
he
all
got done
after.
playing.
Okay.
That was after. That was in that 2-month window from
Before
after he
the
got
draft.
done playing until he got drafted.
Yeah, so
that's
like
when all that happened.
that part of it, maybe he was like the first to be like that.
Yeah, and probably the first and maybe only.
Only, yeah.
Because there really isn't. They don't do that anymore, and there really was only like this one kind of stretch where you had all of those things kind of crossing over.
You're right though. Bake had like a ton of
Oh, jeez. I mean,
merch
like
already.
Oh my God, Baker was. Yeah, I mean, he was so known. I mean, he'd been around forever. He played 4 years. You know, was a 3 or 4 year starter at Oklahoma, 3 year at Oklahoma and 1 year at Texas Tech. Yeah, like Vince Young would have been like
Vince
that
Young
type of brand.
Reggie Bush.
Reggie
that's one.
Bush and Leinart are probably
Bush.
and Leinart too. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
dated Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian at USC while they were at USC. So they were. That's probably of the modern, like everybody knows who they are.
And he was the
Probably
first
those
one
two.
to like go back. Leinart. Not to go. Not
Well,
be,
he went
like
back-
Peyton could have gone, but he went back knowing that he was going to be drafted early and was just like, "Nah, I want to be the king of college."
They had won a national title and he won the Heisman and he came back to play his senior year and he probably would have been the number 1 pick in the draft
Yeah, and
had he
ended up
gone
going
out
like 11,
10 or 11.
I was behind Kurt Warner in Arizona, right?
He was, and Vince went first in that draft. Didn't Vince go first or second to Tennessee? I can't remember. No, Mario Williams went first.
Yeah.
Vince went second.
And then Reggie
went third or fourth or something. They traded, though, for that pick.
You got putters? What is this? What's going on?
Bring those in here, baby. We'll wet our beak on a putter.
Yeah, it looked like a
Take a
Scotty
real
Cameron,
look.
to be honest with you.
All the more reason.
Yeah. Bring it in.
Yeah, those guys, actually, there's something, well, we can talk about that off air, but somebody just did a top 25 college football teams of the first 25 years of the century, and all of those guys are well represented that we just talked about.
By the way, content idea, Gibbe, for not this show, but for in this period of time when we are looking for good, fun stuff. Pro Football Focus put out yesterday 2 tweets that has basically their ultimate lineup, offense and defense, from the 2000s to today. So I think one of the
that's
things we
fun.
should do is put ours together
Yeah.
and then compare, or we can just go through theirs and say right, wrong.
Right, wrong. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. It hit me this morning that we're 25 years into the 2000s.
We're a quarter of
And
a century, brother.
That's right, brother. And the idea of all of us, young Brock, looking at us like we could have, I mean, quite honestly, I guess we could have fathered him. But
Are
from
you
this,
even 25?
of course not. He's still in
Are you
college.
25?
Dr. J.
He's 28. Dr. J.
Dr. J.
He was still 20. Brock, was school a slow process
Taking a
for
long
you?
time to get through it.
Are
Yeah,
you
he's
Van
still in the
Wilder?
mix. Not the worst guy to be.
Sometimes they're called doctors.
Stay as long as you can. Right. Stay.
Sometimes they're called doctors. You know he's in undergrad.
But yes, we are old enough to remember Y2K
Yeah.
through Caution to the Wind.
Dusty Daniels. By the way, so one of the things.
We can
What do we
The
got? We got the Hoff.
Hoff is-
Oh, the Hoffness.
Oh, yes.
The Hoffness.
hold that thought.
Okay.
I've already told him we're running a few minutes behind.
Okay.
Well, let's get to him.
Okay. Do we want to take a break and get
yeah,
to him?
we're
All
going to take a break.
Real quick on the Tebow
some
is absolutely would have been a brand.
Yes,
coming
Tebow.
out. He was a
Yep,
big
good.
brand.
That's a good one.
Reddit work loyal listener mentions Trevor Lawrence, RG3. I don't think either of those.
No.
Jameis, maybe. Burrow, and then Cam was a rocket. Cam was a rocket ship. But it was just 1 year with him. So we'll have a little fun.
Tebow's a great one.
Tebow's a really good example of it.
Absolutely.
Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. The Hoff will join us next with tales from the Great Hunt. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Oh my gosh.
All right, so this is like 4 a.m. and imagine this blasting like at decibels you've never heard. So you get that, but then we're gonna.
I mean, quite honestly, and I'm in the woods.
We're in his, but then he's gonna hit another song, which I'll share what I actually thought it said at the time. So this was like the more hardcore one, and then you get kind of more of a fun one. But listen to Gibbe's transition, Hoff.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, baby.
The cackling of the hawk.
You got a bunch of dudes in camo, some with shotguns on their back, just
Having the time of their life.
It's like at 4 a.m.
Oh my God. And we're joined by the great Hoff.
So Hoff, I didn't realize till you sent this yesterday to me, and this is why I requested, obviously. So that's like the 4 a.m. wake up, and that music is so loud it's as if they're performing in your brain. Like it was, I don't even know how you made sure you had speakers and amps that could handle that type of wattage and output, Hoff. But I thought the Johnny Depp song, and this tells you a little bit about where I was at 4 a.m. on that morning after a fun Friday night. I thought it was saying Turk, turkey, Turk, turkey, Turk. So I thought it was like actually
you called
a
it the
turkey
turkey song is what
I
you
thought it
called
was
it,
a turkey song. I had no idea it was Johnny Depp until yesterday. I really thought it was saying turkey, which would fit just as well.
Joe, I would also say this. Zagura sends it to me, goes, we got to play it. I look at Brock and I go, can we get the lyrics in English? All F-bombs.
Oh, no.
Every other word's an F-bomb. I'm like, we can play the
yesterday
chorus
on the show. So
we can play the chorus, and that's all we can do.
Allegedly, it was dropped.
It's not allegedly.
Allegedly, it was
Thank
dropped.
you.
It was dropped.
I'm like, we can play the chorus.
Well, the turkey got out of there. I mean, how do you?
They got
it
loose.
It was an adjective.
All right, Hoff, great to talk to you. I want to relive all of this. Z relived a lot of it. Here are my questions about song selection and the way that you choose to wake people up, which we're told is at 4 a.m. Is that correct? 4 a.m. wake up?
Yeah, 4 a.m. wake up, and you're trying to be leaving the shop, going to your hunting area about 4:50, 5 o'clock. You don't really want to be later than 5 o'clock because they'll be gobbling by 5:10, so you don't want to be late into the woods.
Okay. How did you choose? How did you choose these 3 songs that Z shared and we played 2 of? How is there no is because the decibel level? He was so adamant that the decibel level was as if it was a concert. So how did you? What speaker system are we dealing with that allows for that type of volume? And then finally, there is no trepidation that this would scare an already what appears to be a very cunning bird, the turkey, with the noise.
Yeah.
So a lot of things impact, but First of all, the little building that we stay in, it was a pole building that initially we were using as storage for the equipment, right? So we made sure it was well insulated. It's got spray foam. It's got tons of stuff on the wall. It's got really big, heavy concrete and like a really well insulated door because obviously you got this big old space. You got to try to keep the heat in a little bit in the middle of them cold Wisconsin winters. So it's pretty well insulated, but also you're a good ways from where you're going to hunt. It's not like you're rolling out the back door.
It's a big
and,
expanse
in the field. You got to go a little ways to get to the bird.
Okay.
So there's no worry about spooking them. But as far as the music selection, so my roommate, best man, he was my buddy since we were like fourth grade playing hoops and basketball, football, and track together. He is my DJ, which is great, right? Because everybody that comes to turkey camp has a role. Like Z, of course, as you'd imagine, is the sommelier. We got the chefs. Me, I'm sort of the general manager. But Steve, he is the captain of Bloody Marys, captain of cocktails, and he also does DJing. So he does a great job. He's thinking about this stuff year-round. He's a real estate investor. So a good portion of the year, he basically does nothing. He just collects checks. So he's got plenty of time to worry about whatever the playlist is, and he always changes it up, but it's pretty intense usually, and he nails it, right? You got to get in there with the Du Hast to start, being that we had like the Oktoberfest theme, and then you got to finish it with something a little bit more upbeat, but we went pretty much all out on the Sonos speakers, so we've got I forget what they're called, like the Play 5s or something. They're like the real big ones, that we put behind the projector, so we got 2 of those. We got a couple moves. We got another couple, one of those Play 5s kind of throughout. And then we bought 2 of the big subwoofers. So
I'm
when it's
telling
bumping,
you.
like, you're feeling it in your chest.
You know it. There's no option. There's no escape.
Segura said he could feel his chest vibrating.
I could. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, we try to make sure that we've thought of everything, right? Because everybody's been kind of a guest, maybe not always at like a turkey camp like this, but similar places, where you're guests at people's and places, and you think about all the stuff like, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have this or that? So even though everyone's like kind of staying in bunks, I make sure to put a sound machine and a little oscillating fan next to everybody's bed with phone charger and stuff like that, and so they got kind of everything they need, but it's like a really, really loud white noise experience, because we found that if you don't have that, there's going to be guys that are partying all night, there's guys that are crashing early and snoring, they're farting, they're making all sorts of manly hunting camp sounds.
Gas X.
But you got to cover up.
Yeah,
exactly. Gas X. Yeah, 99. Keep the butthole tight. But it's really, really important that, like, because they're sleeping very soundly, and a lot of guys get 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep at the most.
That's right.
That you got to be able to really blast it and turn up the decibel when it is time to wake up. Otherwise, people are just going to sleep right through the turkey hunting and just wake up and start partying at noon again.
It's effective, and it plays at that volume. At least it seemed to me it was like until everyone was accounted for, the music was going to be playing.
Gosh, those 3 songs.
I'd imagine it's like, I'd imagine it's kind of like basic training in the military where, you're getting a couple hours of sleep and they're just blasting it until everybody lines up and is accounted for in whatever line they got to be in. So, you got to make sure it continues, because some guys, even though it is pretty intense, like some guys will sleep 4 or 5 minutes, and actually our buddy Ryan Groy, who I'm sure you guys have discussed, a former NFL, former Badger, great. He slept through all of it and didn't even wake up to hunt on Saturday morning. So
What?
It is so
Really?
possible to oversleep. Oh, yeah.
Where was he sleeping? He must have been in the back. Was he in the back rooms? In the main rooms? There's no way. None. Zero.
No, I think I give everybody little eye masks and earplugs too, so you can sleep even a little bit better. So I imagine he went eye mask, earplugs, pillow over the head, and he was probably still a little under the influence, and so it was probably a little bit easier to sleep through.
So you have this beautiful place with 20-plus beds, incredible. It looked like maybe some Amish craftsmanship there, whittled out of some wood.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people where you slept on Friday night? Because this is the most inexplicable thing that happened all weekend, in my opinion. And I would have gladly given you my bed, although I was bunked with Greco. I was on top of Greco.
Jeez, were you? No wonder Duhas.
Oh, baby.
So, we've got 23 beds. There was about 31, 32 guys. So more guys than beds. But 3 of my buddies said that they were going to bring RVs. So I was like, okay, everyone's got a bed. No problem. Well, they show up, and all of them gave me like sorry, I was going to tell you, but I couldn't rent the RV, or it fell through or whatever, so no RV. So, me as the host is going, well, crap. Now I got like 7 dudes that don't have beds. I got guys coming in from California, Ohio, all over the country. I'm like, the last thing I want is for them to go to great effort to come join us and, bless us with their presence at turkey camp, and then they got to like sleep on the floor. So I'm like, as the host, I invited them. I should be the one that sleeps on the floor if anybody.
Erroneous. So first of all,
I told my my ranch hands, I was like, hey guys, I'm busy entertaining, but can you take a couple of these tents, put them up outside, and I'll just sleep out in the tent. It's no big deal. I've done that a million times. I actually enjoy the tent, but didn't foresee the weather to be as poor as it was. I'm sure you guys are getting a little bit of it right now.
Windy,
was like barely above freezing, and 40-mile-an-hour wind. So I walked outside, and so I got 2 tents set up. Both of them are completely flattened, and they're the ones that have my sleeping bag and pillows in there. So I'm like, okay, not sleeping in those ones. My buddy brought a tent, thankfully. So his tent was set up, and it at least had been staked in well enough where the wind didn't knock it over. But it didn't have any, like, sleeping bag or pillow or anything. So I was like, all right, I'm fine. I'm only going to sleep like 3 hours. So I was like, I'm just going to jump in the tent. I'll lay on the ground, just kind of curl up like a little dog next to, in the corner. And then I'll be out of his way, and I'll get my 3 hours, and I'll wake up. Well, an hour in, the wind is howling, and I realized the zipper was broken on his tent. So the wind is just pouring in. I'm freezing to death, instantly sober, and I'm like, this ain't working. So I was like, my truck's right there. I'm like, I'll just go at least get out of the wind. I go, I'll just put the little seats up in the back of my truck, and I'll just sleep on the floorboards. I'll curl up. I got an extra sweatshirt that's
floor.
Working. It's full of chainsaw dust and hydraulic oil. I'll just use that as a pillow. So I curled up in there for like 2 hours, and at least I got a couple hours of sleep before I had to wake up and take Z on a turkey adventure. And it wasn't the best night of sleep of my life, but I survived it.
All right, let's just say this. I've been on many hunting trips. He regaled us with the tales, and I have heard personal fans, phone plug-ins. I know that paella was served. There's a sommelier.
Right. Two chefs. James Beard finalist.
This is not. I told him yesterday, Hoff, I said, this is like you get your driver's license and you go drive a Ferrari. This is not hunt. This is a glamp. This is glamping hunting is what this is. I cannot believe what you do for these folks. It's the most selfless thing I've ever heard.
It's unbelievable.
The amount of consideration that you give to hunters. I don't even, anytime I ever hunted in my life, it was like bedroll, the end. That's it. Best of luck to you, kid. That was it.
Dude,
I'll tell you right now.
He has massage chairs that put people to sleep.
Photos. I would have hunted my whole life if I had this experience.
That's why I'm already listening to turkey hunting podcasts. I was listening to one on the way in.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, you got to listen to that one, Hoff. He does have some love for my run and gun theory. One of my theories is like, let's just like when we see one, instead of trying to get away, let's just go get it.
Just sprint.
Let's just go get it. Which I know doesn't work.
This is an important question, though, Hoff.
Yep.
So I have never been turkey hunting, so I don't know. I'd never heard like all that you guys have to go through to get near them, and also how close you have to get. Are these birds, this very cunning turkey that is at Six Springs Farm, they must be conditioned to be hunted in some way because they from Segura's testimony, they seem incredibly savvy and quite tricky. And anytime I've ever run into turkey, not so savvy. So is there some conditioning that's happened at Six Springs Farm?
Well, I think the problem is, people that don't turkey hunt like out in the wild that just see them in the woods or, the metro parks or something like that, they see this like super tame bird that's not really afraid of a lot of things or like kind of stupid, right? Like Z called me yesterday hysterical because he's got a turkey, a big gobbler, walking down Superior Avenue.
Dude, it's at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario in
downtown?
that main intersection. Yeah. I come out. I went to AdCom had a surprise shower for Miss K yesterday, so I show up to that. I'm leaving and I'm driving through. That's the big intersection. You get on 176 here, the stadium is right there.
Yeah,
there is a Tom walking in the middle of that intersection,
cruising.
And I'm going like 40 miles an hour, so I couldn't stop. I didn't have time to get my phone to get a picture, but I immediately called Hoff. We just spent hours trying to get close to a turkey, and the only time I even did was when I ran through the forest like Last of the Mohicans, Daniel Day-Lewis. And then here's a gobbler just sitting there waiting for us to relieve him of his misery in the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. Like in the middle of a main intersection is a Tom. I could not believe my eyes. It was just, I thought it was put there. I thought his boy Groy put it there just to mess with us. Yes.
This is a different bird, though, that you're dealing with. Huh?
Yes. This is a skittish bird. Very skittish.
Different. Yeah, so to answer your first part, turkey hunting is a little bit like elk hunting. Mm-hmm. It's the call and response. It's like you find out where they are, and then you use that to your advantage. They think I'm here. I know where they are. You can kind of skirt them and flank them and, kind of get around them and stuff. And when you have some topography like in the mountains and you've got trees and stuff, you got a lot of good things that are around you that you can use to kind of put between yourself and the animal to be able to hide and to ambush them. Mm-hmm. The challenge with turkeys is they've got such better vision than elk. So really, if you're out in the open at all and you're not just completely still and they see you even from half a mile away, they're gone, right? Because they have no curiosity at all. Their brain's the size of like an almond. So they have no brain. So the ones you see in the city, after just a couple generations, if they haven't been hunted by humans or really they don't have a lot of predators, they kind of lose a lot of their fear very quickly. And then they just don't care if you're around them because they just have that little tiny brain on them. But, out in farm country, they're getting eaten by everything. Like we got bears, we got wolves, we got coyotes, we got bobcats, raccoons trying to eat them. I mean, they're like the most delicious thing on two legs in the woods that walks around. So everything's trying to eat them from the time that they're born. So their head is on a swivel constantly versus, the ones in the city, maybe a coyote gets them or a raccoon will get after them. But for the most part, they're pretty safe. So they lose that fear of anything pretty quickly.
So then the other thing, and I think you maybe just answered, because I asked Z, I said, well, what's the apex predator there? And we mentioned bobcats, coyotes, that type of stuff, but you just dropped some heavy hitters. You just dropped wolf and bear. You have
Yeah,
that
so
in that
the-
part of Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, we got bear, we got a few wolf. There's a lot more bear than there's wolf, but occasionally there's some wolves that come down there. And I forgot to even mention the owls and the hawks. Like,
Oh yeah.
you wouldn't believe how many owls get them. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever raised chickens around owls, but we had some, like 10 chickens a couple years ago, and we used to let them just run around in the yard and stuff. And like, it seemed like once or twice a week we'd lose a chicken and you'd find the head over here and then the body over there, and we're like, what the heck is happening? The owls, they come down and they just like bite their heads off in midair. And so owls are really big predators on turkeys. So I mean, it's a bad deal to be a turkey out there in those woods.
It makes them though very, very tough to get. Very tough to get. But it was just so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah,
and like
it's-
Hoff, next year we got to get one, Hoff, because you and I I'm obviously on a lifetime offer. Although I just started, to be fair, it was my first plate appearance.
Well, you weren't packing any weaponry either. So
No.
You could have got the one you snuck up on. By
that
all
one, it
accounts.
would have been the one, and it would. Half an hour talking about it would have been like the greatest story ever. Like if I just like literally ran after it, found it, and then got it, would have been incredible. But no, at that point. But next year, I'm getting my tag or whatever it is I need to get so that I can be like fully locked in and ready to roll.
All right, Hoff. How did our guy do?
Yeah. He did great. I mean, I think you could hear from his voice and how much he's talked about it. I think he was shocked with how excited and into it he was.
Oh yeah.
Because you think about turkey hunting like you, right? You just see him on the side of the road. You're like, oh, that would be kind of boring. It's like target practice. But once you get in there and you realize what the game is like, and that's why I get so excited about bringing new people out to turkey camp and introducing them to like what turkey hunting really is. It's like, wow, their eyes are completely open to this little cat and mouse game that you have, where you're calling them and you're trying to maneuver on them, and like you're running and gunning. It's not like deer hunting where you're just sitting in a spot and you're just kind of waiting until they come by, and then you got 20 seconds of intense activity going on. This is like kind of constant, and you're on the move, you're working, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, let's sit here for a little while and take an hour nap. And you're like, wow, this is awesome. Like the sun's shining on me. I got a chance to catch up my Z's a little bit. But Z, to nobody's surprise, has about 5 times the intensity of a normal turkey hunter. So I think his biggest challenge as he's becoming a turkey hunter now is like learning how to just be a little bit patient at time, like dial back the intensity just a little bit, because he is so like over the
Ready to
top
go
about it. And I think the cool thing is like if just him and I get a chance to go out and turkey hunt, then we can do the run and gun, which actually is the most effective method. The challenge is we had, a couple buddies with us.
Yeah.
We had 4. So we had a cameraman, we had Meat Dad was with us, and then me and Z were kind of the guides, just sort of assisting. And when you have that big of a group, run and gun is really tough because you got to be sneaking through the wood like a ninja.
Yeah.
And it's really effective, especially late in the season. But getting 4 dudes, including one that's got a camera, to be able to like get in position on a bird without them seeing you and be able to like get the shot off while it's on camera is really, really tough. So we kind of were a little bit more like the patient route when we were hunting there with Z.
We'll be next year. Hopefully we can keep it small, keep it tight. We'll go out there and run and gun, baby.
Hey, Hoff,
I did have good Hoff though. Do you say my eyes were? I think was my best asset. Congrats, thanks to my LASIK guy. Cole Eye Institute.
Yeah, we gave him the nickname Eagle Eyes because every time we turned around, he was like, "Oh, there's one right there!" He even saw a hen that was sitting on a nest, like in the middle of this big prairie, like 200 yards away. He just saw the top of her little head. I was like, "What the hell is that? That's not a turkey." We went over there, and sure enough, she was sitting on the nest.
One thing we stumbled on yesterday, and he was talking about it, and he had never done it before. And I said, well, what you're describing is the thrill of the hunt. And when I was listening to you, and you think of someone who played athletics at the level you did and the thrill of playing it at the level that you did, I'm wondering if this has been the panacea for you. This is where you get that juice now, is the hunting. And you probably hunted while you played and all of that too, but it's hard to replicate. You hear guys who played in the league or played at places like Wisconsin like you did, and it's, one of the things they miss so much is that thrill of running out in front of 75,000 and competing at that type of level in something that gets that type of juice. The way I hear you talking about hunting, Hoff, has that worked for you? Has that filled that void?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I talk to my buddies all the time about, what makes hunting so special to you? Like, why do you love it? And, a a lot of them are outdoorsmen, obviously, before they became hunters. And I was a fisherman before I hunted. I love fishing, but fishing's much more like relaxed. You know, there's different species you can fish that's a bit more intense, but like when you're hunting, especially turkey hunting, you're in like what people would call the flow state. So basically, your senses are heightened around you, your sense of sight, smell, your hearing. It's amazing like how in tune you are to everything because you've completely forgotten about the outside world. You forgot about your phone, your emails, your to-do list, your text messages, and you're completely locked into what's going on around you. And I think that really connects you to the wilderness, it connects you to the land, it connects you to those animals. And it is the same way and the same locked-in feeling with those adrenaline rushes and like that passion and that purpose that you got when you were playing football and when you're out there in front of 80,000 people. And obviously the audience is a little different when it's like two turkeys out there and you in the woods versus like 80,000 fans. But like the feeling of being completely locked in and focused is the same. And I think that's why people really, when it boils down to it, they love hunting.
And you said something, Brian Cavalier said something to me that was so true, and you said something to me that was so true about the experience. And what Brian said was when you get out there as early as we do, you get to kind of like watch the world wake up through nature. And he was so right about that. And that was so cool as you started to hear more and more sounds. And then, you know, it was fully alive. And basically the forest was totally alive around us. And then the other part is you said it connects to your like primal ancient instincts of being a hunter-gatherer, provider, you know, as a man. And like when we went out, we were so lucky, even though it didn't necessarily lead to anything. We never saw this guy, but the first, I'm pretty sure it was like the first or second call you made, we got a gobble back. And like that jolt of hearing that gobble back, like we're communicating with nature. Now we're in on this. This is like, it's go time, was so electric. The only thing that maybe matched the electricity of that was jumping into the Hoff's Spring for a real physical, mental, and emotional reset after a long day and long night. That set the table for a big Saturday night.
Yeah, that's why when I'm at turkey camp, I'm like never tired. Like I said, I slept for 3 hours on the floor of the back of my truck, and I woke up the next day and I was like raring to go. I'm like, let's go. I couldn't wait to get up. You know, and the whole day, I mean, you get a little tired when you're cruising around and you need those little nature naps. But for the most part, like, you're awake, you're alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic, and you just can't wait to see what's coming around that next corner. And you get that gobble, and all of a sudden the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and you're, like, ready to roll. And then the bad thing is you get home, and it's like 7:30, the kids are up, and they're excited to see you, and you got one eye open, and you're just, like, crawling. You're just dragging the butt, and you're like, oh, man, can I make it till 8:30? I hope so. You're just pounding espresso at like 8 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden 8:30 comes, and you are a carcass until like 7:30 the next morning because you're so tired, and all catches up to you at once.
Oh, this is so great. It's so good. What was that? What did you say that state was? I want to write that down of when you're hunting. It reminded me when you told
flow state.
Flow state.
Flow state. I love it.
When you had when you told us that time about the 8 things you did before every play, and you said you didn't even a lot of times didn't know the score, didn't know the time on the clock. You were just so locked in. Very similar to the way I just heard you describe hunting. Very, very similar. So I think there's that apples for apples there, Hoff.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why you love all those adrenaline rush sports, right? I'm not a guy that likes to, drive motorcycles or do any of that adrenaline stuff. My adrenaline, I find it on the ground, hunting turkeys and chasing elk and things like that. And you don't have any space in your brain for anything else except for exactly what you're doing that you're looking at right in front of your face. And that's exactly what football was, right? I didn't have space to worry about what the defense was doing or what the quarterback was thinking about. Like I was so focused on my every time I walked the line of scrimmage, doing things exactly the same, thinking about the defense, and there was no space for anything else. And that's what I loved about it. That's that flow state that you get in, that's hyper-focused, hypersensitivity to all the things that are happening around you.
Well, Hoff, incredible. Thank you for regaling us with the stories. This was joy to see my guy back. He was so thrilled. So cool. So thanks, buddy. Great talking to you.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on, man. What a weekend we had with the great Z, and now I think we've got a lifelong hunter, which I'm so excited about.
I
First
love
of
it,
many.
man.
First of many. There he goes. The great Hoff joining us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Second hour of the program up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place that first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet is official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We go around the sports world here to kick off the second hour. The 49ers and linebacker Fred Warner agreed to a 3-year, $63 million extension, 56 guaranteed. The Niners have put out some extensions in the last month. They got Purdy's deal done, they get Warner's deal done, and they got Kittle's deal done as well.
They're going to have like a team that's like, we're going to pay 8 dudes, and then everybody else is going to have to be pretty low budget.
Did they blow it?
Yeah, they should have won 2 Super Bowls.
At least one.
Well, they had one where a guy, they knew exactly the play was coming in the most important moment of the game, and had they gotten that stop, that game was over.
Mm-hmm.
And the player, we've heard it from Joe Woods, who's the DB coach. The guy did what he knew he was not supposed to do, and he did it anyway. And they get it to Tyreek Hill, and they win that one. And then the other one, I think they win. And then I think strategically they shouldn't have kicked that field goal. They should have just gone for it on 4th down. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is, and this is kind of those overtime strategies, is by kicking the field goal, yes, if you get a stop or a turnover, the game's over right there. But it also tells the Chiefs that there are 4 downs.
Yeah.
So now they have 4 plays to get 10 yards. And if you remember, they actually were 4th and 2 on their own 18. Had you gone for it and not gotten it, they're punting that ball back to you right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have another chance to win it. So, or if you get the touchdown, maybe that does it right there. But yeah, they had 2 chances to win it. Have they blown it? Probably. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of expensive quarterbacks win. Philly would be
of the guys making over 50, none of them have Super Bowls.
None of them.
None of them. Only Hurts. Hurts is the only one.
And that was last year.
That was last year. Everybody else has not. Yeah, I say that because we always talk about this when you draft a rookie quarterback and you land on it. That's the key. You land on it, then you have this window where you have to win it in this window before you have to pay them, and then the team becomes different. So the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in that window with Mahomes. Then they won a 3rd as they were transitioning out of that window after they paid Mahomes. Now, he's not in the 50 million club, and there's a dozen guys who are.
Yep.
But that's the rare thing, and that's what led them to have to get rid of Tyreek Hill, and that's how they had to change what they are as a football operation because of how they're going to redistribute their money. So when you have that conversation about San Francisco, you say that window is over. This will be a new window now for them and a new window of roster construction, and now they need Purdy to elevate is what they need him to do.
Yeah. I mean, he's been excellent. What you're going to need now is it puts so much pressure on your drafts.
Yes.
Because you need to nail your drafts and you need to get real contributions from 3rd through 7th rounders on their rookie deals because that's the only other way to save money at, some of the premium positions. So, yeah, that's kind of the onus is going to be on them to be able to do that because I'm going to put all up real quickly overthecap.com, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see on this particular on the Niners team kind of where that money is and how tied up it is for them. So you've got cap numbers. So Warner just did his, so he's at 29. Trent Williams at 21. Nick Bosa at 20. Kittle 14. Ayuk 9. They must not have updated the Purdy one because it says maybe they did. Let's see. No, they still haven't updated Purdy's number. It's still saying 5 million. So Purdy's number now is going to be 50 million, right? Or depending on how they do it in the first year of it. But bottom line is they've got significant money tied up in their top people. Significant money tied up in their top people.
Yeah. It's interesting when you do just a quick look around the league and you see how many teams come into this season with we need to win right now. Yeah. And it's the teams we've talked. It's Buffalo, it's Baltimore.
Yes.
It's Cincinnati. Incredible pressure on those 3 operations. I think there's a lot of pressure on Dallas, but I don't think they're on that level. But I would assume there would be some pressure to take advantage of their situation. I think Detroit is going to play with a ton of burden this year and pressure. They were a feel-good story last year. Now people are going to expect it out of them.
Did you say Baltimore?
I did say
Yeah,
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
So
Yeah,
AFC,
Baltimore,
I said
Buffalo.
Baltimore, Cincinnati, Buffalo.
Totally.
Buffalo and Baltimore on a different level.
Totally, yeah,
And then
yes.
Cincinnati, because they've at least been to a Super Bowl. Then I think that's it in the AFC in terms of massive pressure to win it all. In the NFC, I got Dallas, although I don't think that that's realistic, but I think they probably feel that way.
Washington?
Detroit, for sure. I don't think Washington feels that pressure. They're in the beginning of a window for me.
But that's why there is the pressure.
There is, but I think they got 3 years of it.
You have 3 years. Yeah. You're
They're
saying
not- this isn't
this
last
year drop dead?
I'm saying
Yeah,
right now we better win it.
Yeah.
We better make a move.
That's probably
And then the only other one, I think that they've won one, so I do feel like the Rams are kind of gearing up for a run, but they've won one, so there's not really any pressure. They've already been validated.
Did you say Green Bay?
I did not say Green Bay. They don't feel like a team that's, to me, Detroit feels more like that than them in that division.
Detroit, I would say, is probably the better team, but this is a team that's paying $30 million to the quarterback, $25 to a DN, $25 to a corner, $20 to a D tackle, $20 to a safety. They're spending money with premium people that they need. I think they kind of need to get it done because some of their guys are not necessarily young.
Is it probably just Detroit and Green Bay in the NFC then?
That would have that type of urgency?
I think there's that in Dallas too. I don't think they're that good, but I think Prescott's been paid, CD's been paid. You acquire Pickens, you're going to pay.
Yeah, Dallas always
Parsons.
feels it. I'd say Philly
Those
as well because
Even though they just
but
won
they
it.
won one. That's why you didn't list Kansas City.
That's why I didn't
they've
list
won.
Kansas City. That's why I didn't
Yeah.
list Philly. That's
Yeah,
why
that's
I
fine.
think the Rams are a tough list.
So if we're looking at people that haven't won it, yeah, Detroit, Dallas, Green Bay. I mean, the Niners, I think, always kind of feel that pressure.
I think that window's come and gone. I think it'll be a new.
Don't tell Pedro. I think you're right, though. To me, the two
It's
teams.
a two in the AFC.
It's Buffalo and Baltimore. That's like the most pressure. That's just monster pressure on those two teams. Mega, like
now.
Mega
Go
pressure.
now. You've been knocking on the door for 5 years with these rosters. Go.
or are you
There-
or are
or
you
not.
Or are you not?
Or do you end up being like what happened to San Francisco, where you had a window, you got to the precipice and couldn't knock it down, and now you got to kind of reconfigure. I mean, Baltimore
At least
is as all in as can be.
At
I mean,
least
they are.
the Niners got to 2.
They did. These two teams did not.
And they've been to 3 in the last
15
years. Yeah. Whereas Baltimore, since they won that one, not back. And Buffalo has not been since what?
No, since the 90s.
Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put Cincinnati on, because they got to one with Burrow, and then obviously Kansas City's won 3, and I don't think anybody else in the AFC is close enough to where they're starting to feel, the pressure of, man, we gotta get something done here. A couple other things around the sports world. Bears guard Joe Thuney signed a 2-year, $35 million extension. 4-time Super Bowl champ will turn 33 this upcoming season. And ESPN expected to keep the cast of TNT's Inside the NBA when the show moves to the network next season per SI and others. Jimmy Pitaro of ESPN, I have not heard any false notes. My understanding is we're keeping the band together. The Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Pacers will be the last playoff series televised by TNT, with NBA rights shifting to ESPN, NBC, and Prime next season. That's because Inside the NBA, I don't even think you're going to notice that. They're going to still do it out of Atlanta. They're keeping all the people, so like that'll
It's going to
still
look the
be.
same. They probably have the same. They just keep everything the same.
Keep the music the same. It'll
Yep.
just, instead of on TNT, it'll just be ESPN. But which is by the way, ESPN's never done that. So they've done 3 big ones of these. They did McAfee like that. They did Eisen like that, and this is McAfee's the biggest commitment. But this is saying, we are taking guys associated with another network, and we're going to make them the face of our NBA coverage, because we couldn't do it this good.
Nope.
We tried. We tried everything we could. Did not take. And by the way, tip your hat to them. Good job out of you. Let's just find a way to keep this together.
So I was watching the juxtaposition between Inside the NBA and that pregame crew.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And then what they were on when I watched ESPN, and maybe this was just a one-off, but it was, I don't know the name of the lady that was the host, and the 2 analysts, I think, were Kendrick Perkins and another lady that I did not know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Shaq and Charles and Kenny and Ernie, and I was like, and also like they weren't even trying to compete with it. There's like, let's just do this, and
Yeah, I
not
think
worry
there was a
about it.
time when they did where
they
they
really
put a lot
tried.
of money at it, and like
Simmons
the Jalen
and
Rose,
Rose,
Bill
yeah.
Simmons, like all of that, and it just for whatever reason it didn't really take the way that they were kind of hoping that it did. But do you think? I mean, in my life, in our life, men were 40. The NBA has always been on TNT.
Yep. That's all I can think of.
Think about this. NBC's play-by-play announcers, because remember, NBC got the rights over TNT. NBC's play-by-play announcers are Tirico and
Harlan?
Young Eagle.
Oh,
Harlan and Ian Eagle out of the NBA picture.
really?
Yeah.
So Ian will still have the Final Four, March Madness.
Yep. And Kevin Harlan will have the NCAA tournament stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, he can't. Can't he go to ESPN and do it there
As of right
or
now,
Prime?
they're all
He's my favorite.
he's the best.
He's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I love Harlan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Harlan's
think
great.
he's
I know.
incredible.
Great.
And he's
He's
on the
just
call
synonymous.
for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Is
which
he?
Is going to be awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, he was. I mean, he's just so synonymous with the West to me. He called so many when I was a kid. So many Lakers, like high school and stuff. So many Lakers playoff games, West Coast 10 o'clock tip stuff. So many of those at that time. Yeah, that's wild. So Noah Eagle
Right
and
now, those are your
Tirico.
two announcers.
How many things can Tirico do?
It's
He's the nicest guy, but
nicest
holy
guy.
hell.
Keep him away from nuts.
Yeah, geez, that got him.
Hey, can I go back to Fred Warner real quick?
Go ahead.
Can we have a little fun with this?
Go ahead. I'd love
This was from the 33rd team. Okay?
Okay.
How the 49ers ended up with Fred Warner.
Okay.
49ers Bears trade. 2017.
Okay.
The Chicago Bears move from number 3 to number 2, and they
Trubisky.
take Mitchell Trubisky.
Yep.
The 49ers get pick number 3,
Okay.
Solomon Thomas.
Yeah, so it didn't. Yeah.
They get I think this is a third rounder at 67. In 2017,
Yep. Let's start. Yep.
they traded that pick, the 49ers did, to the Saints. That pick became Alvin Kamara. The 49ers drafted Dante Pettis and DJ Reed with that trade.
Ugh.
Yep.
DJ Reed's a good corner. Dante Pettis did not work out.
27. They also got a 2017 fourth round pick that they traded. That pick became Tedrick Thompson. They traded that, the 49ers did, to acquire and draft one Reuben Foster. And then
It was like the really good player, but injured linebacker.
Yeah,
or
Reuben
off
Foster.
the field.
Had some off-field stuff. He was a kid who, Alabama kid who committed to Auburn, had an Auburn tattoo on his bicep, and then flipped to Alabama and played his career at Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got the number 3 pick overall. They had a third round in 17, a fourth round in 17, and they had a third round in 18 that became Fred Warner.
Jeez.
The Bears gave up all that to move up one spot in the draft.
Why did the Niners – that's a lot. Why did the Niners bail on Garoppolo so quickly?
Because I think Kyle felt like he couldn't. It was kind of
limiting. So it was kind of like the Goff thing with McVay.
Uh-huh.
Like he just felt like I can only do so much with this guy.
Yeah, we can only throw in certain parts of the field. And if you remember that, they win that even with the defensive blunder. He had one that was a slant to Kittle that would have been complete, but Chris Jones knocked it down, and if he caught that, he was off to the races. And then Kyle dialed up a shot play to Emmanuel Sanders, who was like 3 yards clear, and Garoppolo missed him. And
That's
I think
right.
that was it.
Remember that one, yeah.
Yeah. I think that was it.
Yeah. This is what do we have? Western Final tonight starts. OKC
Yeah,
in
so-
Minnesota.
Are you guys surprised that is starting before? Like, why didn't the Eastern Conference Final start last night?
I heard Wilbon say that it was something to do with Madison Square Garden's availability.
Okay, because
They might have had an
that
event.
ended on a Friday.
It ended Friday,
and
yeah.
the Pacers had ended well before that.
Knick
And you
fans
think
are
Saturday,
still
Sunday they could have played Monday.
Yeah.
They don't play until Wednesday,
Right.
and then the West ended on Sunday.
Yeah, like OKC has 2 days off.
Yeah.
And then they're at home getting Minnesota. It's funny, like this is and by the way, because of the weather that we're having, like people are going to be tuning into this stuff because you can't really be outside at 48 degrees in May, heading into June, which is lovely.
Yep.
But just think about this from how many folks who don't consume the NBA or don't do what we do, where you're just sports adjacent all the time, and you go to turn on the West and East final, and there's no LeBron, there's no Steph, there's no Jokic, there's no Luka, there's no Giannis, none of those cats, none of them, no Tatum. Like, those guys have been fixtures for 10 years.
Yep.
No Durant. Like, not that he's been in the mix lately, but you see my point. Like, this is brand new. This Knicks team is brand new. This Pacers team is brand new. The kids, my kids, like, I'm telling you right now, if you were to poll kids like NBC's age, Beamsy's age, Anthony Edwards would be the most popular player among that group. Like, they love him.
Yep.
So, like, for them, and Shea Gilgeous is way up there. Like we for sure have a Shea Gilgeous jersey and an Anthony Edwards jersey, both. They are ultra popular with the kids. But I think if you're an adult and it's the finals. Let's watch the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Finals. I think you're going to turn them on and be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Who's playing? Who are these people?
Yeah. The Knicks are the only prestige.
Yeah, and they haven't been on this stage in 25 years.
Yeah, they won a title since '73.
Right.
My buddy D-Strum and Joey will be in the house
Are they
on
going?
Wednesday night. Yeah, Manto will be there.
Yeah.
I think they got good seats at second row behind the bucket, so
Those are cheap.
those should be prime seats. I don't believe that they are.
At Madison Square Garden for an Eastern Conference Final.
Game
When's
one.
the last time the Knicks were in the East Final? Like the 90s?
Yeah, in my mind, yes, or early 2000s at the
It would have been that
that
Sprewell,
squad. Yeah,
Allen Houston,
That's it.
Canby run. There was nothing else. I mean, it was
No.
a steady diet of.
Melo never got out of he got to the second round? Never got out of the second round?
Yeah, no, I never got. He got to a West Final once in Denver. They played the Lakers. 2000. So 25 years since the Knicks have been this far.
Oh no, the city's on fire. I talking to my friends in New York. The city is absolutely.
They're ready to go.
They are absolutely on fire.
It's a basketball town. It's a Yankee town, and it's a basketball town.
It is.
Yeah. All right, we will go around the NFL. I think this is the most absurd thing maybe the league has ever co-signed. I don't understand how they're going to implement it at all. We'll explain coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused your injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Just seeing this from down in Columbus, my buddy Adam Jardy on the Buckeye basketball beat for the Dispatch. You're saying, why would you do this? Why are you bringing this up? Well, because Ohio State is deciding to give an honorary degree to LeBron James. Which,
well, by the way, when
What?
you had a well, how about it on your social the other day that really tickled me.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was like
yeah,
to
yeah.
set up a poll, and you're like, well,
how about it? That's right,
I loved it. Yeah.
Like, what does Ohio State think they need to do that for?
You got to be kidding.
I don't know.
Like, what is
Gibbe
the point
hates
of
it.
that? Well, I do too, and I
Hey,
don't
you know
have any
what?
beef with him. I just think it's silly.
Congratulations on your last 14 playoff games. You're 2-12. Here's a degree.
I just don't understand it. Like, neither of his kids went there.
Yep.
Like, he's around a little. Like, well, I don't know,
Yeah.
once every 2 years for a big
The
football
oldest
game.
spurned the Buckeyes to go play at USC.
He did.
Now I'll say USC has a lot to offer.
Yes, they do. Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Still.
I don't know. That seems aggressive to me to do that.
His
Especially
brand does sponsor like both the football and the basketball team. Like they're all wearing his shoes and his cleats.
Well, Kev, let's be real fair. It's not necessarily his brand. It's Nike.
Well, it is his brand because it has his logo all over
But it's
it.
Nike. I mean, Nike did that, and Ohio
Yeah,
State.
well, Jordan's Nike
Ohio-
too. I could say that.
Jordan has ownership,
Right.
though, in Nike. LeBron maybe has graduated to that too, but it's not LeBron who's
Yeah,
decided to
'cause he
make
has
Ohio
that lifetime
State.
deal with them.
LeBron didn't decide to make Ohio State a Nike school. Ohio State was a Nike school, and they
I
decided
say
to
he
do
deserves
that.
it. I say he deserves it.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of connection there between Ohio State and LeBron other than him going to some football games through the last 20 years or so.
I'm trusting Columbus, Bo.
Probably fair on that. All right, NFL owners meetings in Minneapolis beginning today and scheduled to end tomorrow. Here's the thing I'm most interested to talk to you about.
Okay.
Olympic football.
Okay.
So it's passed.
Dumbfounding to me.
Same. The NFL will have to negotiate.
I think it's expected to pass tomorrow.
Oh, has not officially yet.
yes.
Okay.
It's
So
either late
expected.
today or tomorrow morning.
Okay. So once it passes, the NFL will have to negotiate with the PA and the Olympic officials on the specifics of letting them play. Here are some of the rules the NFL hopes to see. Permission from any player under NFL contract to participate in tryouts, a limit of one player per NFL team on each national team participating, allowing in addition a team's designated international player to play for his home country, which is going to be interesting. Like, how are we going to define home country on this? A purchase of league-wide insurance policies, I bet, to provide injury protection for any player injured while participating, salary cap credit for any player who is injured, an expectation that Olympic flag football teams will establish medical staffs and field surfaces that comply with NFL minimum standards, and a schedule does not unreasonably conflict with an NFL player's league and club commitments. Why are we doing this?
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't. There's too much invested in this. There's too much at stake to allow yourself to have people get in these types of situations. Like, there's just no way I would allow that. No way I would vote for that if I was an owner of an NFL team.
It's just like
let's say the Vikings say Justin Jefferson wants to do it
yeah.
and tears his knee.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, most of these guys are in good enough shape that, like, when their NFL careers are over, knock yourself out. Go play in the Olympics. By all
Oh, yeah,
means.
for sure.
And I wouldn't do it if I was a college kid either. This has to be people that probably should still be able to win gold pretty easily, but that aren't NFL players or big D1 players. Like, why would you
I don't know
risk
why.
it?
For big picture, I don't know why it's an Olympic sport to begin with.
Yeah.
No clue.
It's different than basketball to me. And I realize people get hurt in basketball all the time. So, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing if their NBA lets their guys go. Why wouldn't you let
Well, but at least basketball is a world game.
Yes.
I mean, football is not a world game.
Fair.
I mean, it's just not. It's not played all over the world. There are pockets, sure, but not like hoops. It's played everywhere.
Same with football, and the greatest players in the world all play for their countries. Like every Premier League team or Bundesliga team, every great soccer, it's just known you're going to play for your.
It's also usually
national team.
opposite your season, other than the Qatar one, which was in the middle of it because of the weather. But usually the World Cups they're always in the summer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the one that you do it for. So I don't know. I don't see the juice being worth the squeeze on this from the NFL perspective. Now, if you had to put together an NFL team, and you could have, because one of the other stipulations here is one player from each team
Is allowed. That's it.
is allowed. There are 12 guys on the roster.
Okay.
I knew you'd like this. I knew this would be right up your alley. Okay. You got notes. You got pens. Right. I knew you'd be ready. You got to have 2 quarterbacks.
All right. Lamar.
Yep. That's the one. That's one of the ones I said.
And Allen.
Allen?
Yeah.
I went Mahomes.
I just think movement is so important. Mahomes is elusive,
I think
too.
guys are going to be so damn open.
I don't think
I don't think the quarterback's even going to move.
Listen.
I mean, what happens when we're playing the Greeks?
Right.
And you got Jamar Chase out on one.
Well,
what are we doing?
Here's what I would say. Lamar is an automatic, and then
Yes.
if you want Josh Allen
Yeah.
or you want Mahomes or you want
Right.
Burrow, I'll tell you, who would be an unbelievable flag football
You got
quarterback?
10 left.
You know who would be an unbelievable flag football quarterback? Kyler. Kyler would be unreal.
Yeah, you certainly would be. Yeah, he would be unbelievable.
Like he might actually be. I might go Lamar and Kyler.
His ability to change directions,
Yes.
throw from every platform, all of
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you got 10 left.
Okay.
There's one that to me, so you used one Baltimore, one KC, or Buffalo, whatever. All right. So
Yeah. Let's take Burrow out because I'm going to want to.
you're going to want Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have 10 left.
So
There's
okay.
one that's kind of a get out of jail free card
Okay. Hold on.
that I would use.
Hold on a second. So I want Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
I want Jamar Chase.
Yep. You need 5 offensive and 5 defensive players.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
My 5th offensive player.
Well, no, you got your 2 quarterbacks don't count, so you have 10 spots to work with.
Oh, 5. Yeah, right.
5 offense,
right.
5 defense. That's
Right.
why I think there's one that's a cheat code. I want to see if you get there.
Well, Travis Hunter.
Yep.
So you got Jefferson, Chase, Hunter. I want a big dude. I might.
So funny. I did this morning. You're going the same way I went with this.
I might take Bowers.
Can I just throw one up?
Yeah.
DK Metcalf.
So that's your Steeler, DK.
Well, that's my big.
Metcalf.
I don't need Bowers if I have Metcalf.
You in flag football, I definitely think
point it.
you want a dude though that is like physical and just like you have to just get it near his vicinity. That's not just like running. Like
Don't you think Metcalf can do that? He's
very
how much
straight
smaller?
line. Bowers is a stud.
I know he is. He was a first team All Pro tight end.
Yeah, I think I want Bowers on my
Okay.
team. I'm fine with having Metcalf.
I don't need him if I don't. He was gonna be my tight end because I actually thought Chief would be a pretty dang good.
Chief would
tight
be a
end
good one.
in this because you need someone run in the middle. You
You
have
know
all
who I
this
would
speed
do?
on the outside.
I
You
would
need
have
somebody big and in the red zone.
So I'd go
Did he
Bowers
play for another country?
and then
I don't know.
Like
I'd go-
Nigeria?
he could. I'd go Bowers and I'd go Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek feels like, and he's the one who really wanted to.
Yeah, so that's my 5. Jefferson, Chase, Hunter, Bowers, and Tyreek Hill. So we've got Baltimore, Cincy, Minnesota. Amon-Ra St. Brown would probably be a good one as well.
I think you're good.
I think we're good here. All right, let's go on the defensive side. All right, so I need to.
You know who would be amazing at it is Denzel.
I think Denzel would be really good.
He'd be a damn good mirror. I think you're going to want Stingley, Surtain. I think you want all corners and one deep safety.
Okay. You might want like a Roquan Smith, like just one dude in the middle who is bigger but it can still run. I definitely think you'd want. Well, you have to have somebody who's going to get after the quarterback. You need somebody.
I think anyone. You don't think Denzel Ward could track down a quarterback?
I do.
I don't
think he
need
can.
Miles.
No, you don't need a deep.
Like all I need is give me 5 fast guys or four really fast guys and
All right.
one safety who can high point.
I'll give you
to
one
take
that,
away the
that
safeties.
is kind of an interesting name that I think would be really, really, really good, and that is Nick Bonito, because he's kind of like a linebacker. He can cover, but he's fast. Like I think he would be a flag football demon. But you'd rather have Surtain. Okay, so
they're going to be chasing down Giuseppe's.
PS2.
Like you're not tracking down Lamar.
So we can't have Kyle Hamilton
No, you can't.
So you could have Xavier McKinney. You could have Buda Baker.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have Denzel. And then Stingley.
And Surtain.
I got Surtain, Stingley, Denzel, Buda Baker.
Because you also have Travis, who can bounce over there.
Travis. Yeah, I want one, maybe a Zach Bond. Because wasn't he kind of like an edge guy at first, and then they moved him to off ball, so he could be somebody who could rush. He could do all those things. That'd be pretty good.
I want one, and then I want one center field safety.
Yeah, that'll be.
Did you go McKinney? Who'd you go?
I went Buda, but we could go McKinney. McKinney led the league in picks last year and was fantastic.
Yeah,
as a center fielder.
That's what you need. So,
all right, let me do this.
Who in the world
nobody's beating this
doesn't lose 100-0? This will be the most lopsided. If all those guys are Team USA.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it real quick. And we'll just be very quick with it. All time.
You do not have time for that. How about we have 4 breaks still in 25 minutes.
Yeah, there's no time for that.
How about we come back with that?
There's no
we
time.
can move Mr. Fan into another day.
Yes, save that. Yeah,
right, so we got that, and we also have to do the realignment thing that it's coming out of the league meetings as well. All right, you listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Wallen is bringing his I'm the Problem tour to Huntington Bank Field. It's August 15th and 16th. Country sensations Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, and Ella Langley. Tickets on sale now, huntingtonbankfield.com/Morgan Wallen. Don't miss out on this must-see summer show. All right, all-time flag football team.
All right. Who are your quarterbacks?
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick is one for me.
Is 1A.
Yep.
And I went Michael Vick and I went Lamar.
So I went Michael Vick and I went Peyton Manning.
I mean, I played a lot of flag football when I was young, and I know you did as well. And I played one season, real quick, with a guy who played quarterback at Wyoming when I was in Montana. He was in his 50s, and I played receiver. The ball was out in under a second.
Yeah,
98% of the time. 98. He would buy time. 0.2%. He would buy time, but other than that, it was out so quick.
Yeah.
There just wasn't sometimes I think we overestimate
And Peyton was a very good athlete.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Very good.
So I got Vick and Peyton.
Yeah.
Offense, my first offensive player, Randy Moss, Minnesota Vikings.
Randy Moss is on mine as well.
Okay.
Randy Moss.
My second offensive player was Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson was on mine as well.
My third offensive player was Jerry Rice.
Yep.
My fourth offensive player was Tony Gonzalez.
Okay, we
of
differ
the Kansas
there.
City Chiefs.
So I went Tyreek Hill there.
Tyreek Hill is my fifth offensive player.
Okay, then my fifth offensive player was Barry Sanders. I just don't know how you could ever get a flag off of him in a space.
It's interesting.
The juxtaposition of trying to grab flags, he's jump cutting.
I like that. All right, so we had one difference on offense.
Yeah. All right.
But then you had Calvin and Barry Sanders.
Oh, my God. I forgot about the one player per rule. All right. In that instance, I would probably take – because I wrote Barry first, so I would probably take Calvin off.
Okay.
And I would probably be looking – you could do worse than Jamar Chase. But, I mean, he's a
Tony
guy.
Gonzalez, I think, is great.
But I got Moss for that. I'm going to use Moss for that down the middle.
Gronk's not bad either. Gronk
would be
I'm
going
to change
to
Gronk.
I'm going to go Gronk.
I'm going to change to Gronk.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gronk.
Because I don't have a Patriot.
Gronk up high is unstoppable.
And he can get in the way of stuff and create rubs.
He'd be great in the Olympic Village.
He would
of the time
thrive.
of his life.
There would be a generation of talented athletes coming
Yep.
out of that Olympic Village. All right, defense.
So it gets me Pats. Okay, yeah, I forgot about the one.
Defense. I've got Chucky Wood.
Yep.
I've got Dion.
Yep.
And I'm counting him as Dallas Dion because of Jerry Rice.
Yep.
I've got, this is where I didn't take Lamar because I wanted Ed Reed.
I have Ed Reed as well.
But you have Lamar.
So then I got to get another quarterback. I forgot about all that. I'm going to go Steve Young just to perturb you.
We won't continue the segment until that's rectified. You have Jerry Rice, can't have him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Can't have him anyway.
That's why. That's why
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Namath for the Olympic Village play.
Okay.
As team mascot, Olympic Village thriving.
Oh, so that
young
must mean
Namath.
That must mean you don't have
I don't have Revis.
Revis. I got Revis.
I got Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson. I like that from Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. And then my last one, because I clearly have an idea of how I want this to be played. I have Derek Brooks, who I think is the greatest cover linebacker of all time.
Yeah, he probably is. I was thinking the linebacker front. I thought about Kuechly. Derek Brooks probably is the greatest drop into a cover two quarterback or linebacker of all time, and then that would get me Bucks. I didn't listen to the rules of this because initially I had Ronnie Lott.
Normally I'm the rule breaker.
I know. Normally you are. I
couldn't
Lott,
have Ronnie Lott because of Jerry Rice.
I can't have Ronnie Lott. Yeah.
That's why I had to sacrifice Lamar for Ed Reed.
Yeah, that's
Which I think
probably
was
the
a
smart
fair
play.
trade.
That's the smart play on that.
I was watching some clip of Belichick showing, I don't know who he was talking to, but he was talking about a play where Ed Reed duped Peyton Manning, and he said it was the most unbelievable defensive play he's ever seen. Where
Peyton Manning
like he's going single high and comes back, and
Peyton Manning talked about that with Belichick.
it was Peyton and Belichick.
Peyton and Belichick
Okay.
talked about it, how he duped him, and no one's ever duped him before. And he was like,
He's like, he went to the middle of the field, it was a backside seam, and then it was like once he started running that way, there's no way he could get back, and he turned on a dime, went and picked it up, and he was like,
okay, that's not fair.
Yeah, not fair.
Yeah. I don't know what the end game of this for the NFL is.
Does the team get to decide which players they allow? Can we be like,
Dude,
You
could
can have
take,
Jamari Thrash.
Of course, you would want that. Why would you ever, if you are the Bengals and you just compensated Jamar Chase, you're going to let him go run around?
Take Yoshivash. Guy's a touchdown machine.
He's a machine.
He is a touchdown machine.
Yeah. It's so I don't know what the end game of it is. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it. A couple other things from the NFL odor. I think the tush push thing is silly to outlaw it. I mean, it's just ridiculous to seem to be worried about it. But the Packers submitted it. Offensive player cannot assist the runner except by individually blocking opponents for him. This proposal takes a broader approach and doesn't specifically target the Eagles' push play. But that's what it is. Is that? I don't know how you're gonna possibly adjudicate it. Like down the field, a receiver, and then a pile hits him, and you're gonna go back and look at replay for 10 minutes and decide when they hit him.
That better fail. And yeah, I think
it doesn't seem like it's gonna. But I'm with you. I think that
you think it's gonna pass right now. They're saying
it seems like it. It feels like most people think it's gonna pass. Yeah,
you can't eliminate it. No,
I agree. I'm with you.
One of the great plays that was most celebrated of the Browns and the Ravens the year we beat them and we had the comeback win was when our line, and it was like a rugby scrum, and we pushed them 15 yards.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to take that out of the game? No. Just because of the tush push?
Because they're good at it? Yeah, it's silly.
No. It failed before. I thought. I hope it's not. Don't let that pass.
Doesn't.
There was a tweak made to the proposal, and now they think it's going to go through.
Yeah,
because it's going to ban it from anywhere?
From any play on the field.
Yeah.
So it's not just penalizing
Like,
them,
I think it's.
Which seems silly.
By the way, just because they're able to have 1st and 9, nobody else is. Like, you're going to just get rid of it? I think it's weak. I agree. I think it's very weak.
Real quick, there's also a something to be voted on today about realigning the playoff teams based on record and not rewarding winning their division. So that would keep a 10-7 team from hosting. It would just be record. So that part's tough.
I don't like it. We talked about it.
Yeah.
There's too much variability in a schedule for it to be purely record-based. Because, for example, to have 3 teams we talked about last year in the NFC North that had 11 wins or more, it's because that means outside of the conference they had to play a cake schedule that allowed them to beat up on it. You come out of the AFC North, most years it's going to be very difficult. This year, the team that wins the AFC North is going to absolutely deserve to host a playoff game. You're going to play the AFC North. You're going to play the NFC North. You deserve to host a playoff game. I don't care if you're 8-9 or 9-8. I don't care. You're going to deserve it. You will have earned it.
So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Is there anybody when we were doing that? Is there anybody that you've thought of that since we got done doing that all-time team that you want to revisit?
The only one, like, you made me think a little bit when you picked Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
you made me think a little bit about like Marshall Faulk.
Yeah,
that was it.
When you played,
but if I could just swing it out to
Tyreek Hill
or Jerry Rice,
like that would be
I feel pretty good about it.
Similar impact. Yeah. It's all going to be receivers and DBs. What was do you remember when you played how many people played? And what size field
we had
what is real like sanctioned flag football? How many people are on the field and how big is the field?
I think it was 7. So you had a quarterback, 2 linemen, and then 3 receivers. I think that was it.
So you had 2 linemen.
Yeah, we had 3 line. We had a center and 2 line, but they could all go.
Everyone could go out. Everyone's eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember just the center by themselves, 4 guys split, and then the quarterback.
When we did it, it was
seems like it was like 6 on 6.
It was we had 7, and these two weren't eligible. You had 2 guys that weren't. This was like I think in my fraternity, and they had to like hands behind the back, and they could like slide and get in the way of the rushers. And then you had 4 eligibles. Your center could always go out,
like
and then your
sanctioned because you do that in Atlanta. Like the sanctioned stuff is like.
I just remember a center in that league. I just remember a center and like maybe like
and everybody spread and like I remember this guy would snap it and then it was 4 wide, and that we would stack them 3 and 1 or 2 by 2 or 3 by 1, and then the quarterback with no back. It was like 4 guys in routes, and it seems like we played on a big field.
Yeah, all right,
like a normal football field, 100 yards.
1 minute. There's
got to be some elite flag football around here somewhere.
Yeah,
for adults.
The Georgia State flag football field, 40 yards wide, 80 yards long.
Oh, so small.
End zone always 10 yards deep. And you had the first downs every 20 yards.
Yep.
That's how it always was.
Yep.
And then I'm just trying to see if it gives you how many dudes. This is a very thorough rule book.
Yeah, they got a lot going on there.
Dirty.
All right, next level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, buddy. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns.